This is Richard, and I welcome you to another episode in Innovation Best Practices, where every episode is crafted to help you sell more and make more. Really, regardless of what type of business that you're in, I genuinely want the information in these episodes to help you sell more and make more. So, welcome back. If you want to listen to the Innovation Best Practices episodes, we have two ways that you can watch them. You can listen to and watch the VideoCast on YouTube. In any particular case, you just need to search the title of the episode. In this case, it's Hardball Innovation Enticing a Competitor. You can also listen to this as a podcast at i2, that's ge.com/podcast, or you can go to iTunes. You can also get the free Innovation Best Practices app at the Apple Store and at Google Play for Android devices. And I love it when people listening to this podcast or episode contact me, and you can just email me very directly at richard@i2ge.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Today's episode is taken from a very interesting book, and we've been doing a number of case studies from this book. It's called Hardball. Are you playing to play or playing to win? And this episode is about enticing your competitor, interesting language, out of your key businesses and into another business where they are not a threat to you. Quite frankly, before I ran into this in this book, if you'd said this was possible, I probably would have said, not so much. But hang on, this is rather interesting. I'll start with a couple of quotes from the authors. First is, it's possible to entice your competitor into retreat from competing in a business area that's important and highly profitable to you. This can be done by taking actions that are likely to lure your competitor into a different business area where you also may both compete, but that is less important and profitable to you. Okay, I'm interested. And you're going to do this by leveraging your superior knowledge of the costs of your business activities. If you can lure your competitor to compete in an area that it believes, because of its inferior knowledge of its cost, is highly profitable for it, but in fact is not, you may be able to nudge it out of an area of your greatest profitability. And this also causes their cost to go up, its margins to shrink, and its share to decline. Okay, getting more interested. First of all, this is a case study about a company called Federal Mogul. Quite frankly, I had not heard of them before I did this. They are a multi-billion-dollar sales company that supplies original and aftermarket auto parts. Okay. And they have really three segments of their business, and they were looking to increase its profitability in one or more of its three types of customers. They sold original equipment manufacturers like Ford and General Motors. Also to smaller original equipment manufacturers like John Deere and Caterpillar, and to repair shops, independent distributors, and other companies selling aftermarket products. Okay, so we know who they are and what business they're in. Here's some more background. They'd been focusing for 18 months on the smaller original equipment manufacturers. Remember the John Deere and Caterpillar folks. Their profits were not increasing even with an increase in higher margin sales, or so they thought. The president, when he dug into this conundrum, found that despite their state-of-the-art accounting system, they found some fundamental and serious flaws in how they were allocating costs to this segment of smaller original equipment manufacturers. They were making mistakes in how they were allocating indirect costs, which, by the way, can be very tough to do right. And it actually revealed that instead of higher margins, the company was selling the products to this segment either at or slightly below cost. It was a startling learning. And at about this time, a pesky European competitor came into their market, JPI. They competed in the lower end original equipment market and mostly with the smaller original equipment manufacturers that Federal Mogul knew could be a tricky profit business. Okay, so that's where they were and what they were doing. Federal Mogul raised prices in that smaller segment that would probably result in customer losses that they figured would go to JPI. Their goal was to encourage JPI to go for more of this business that Federal Mogul knew wasn't so profitable. Because of challenging accounting questions that they had answered, namely Federal Mogul, they believed that JPI might not know the true costs and profitability of this business segment. They thought JPI would see increasing sales and lower profitability. They probably would not know the cause of it until they got into the business deeply and started asking some serious questions. So, Federal Mogul was going to leverage its superior understanding of the costs of this business sector to entice JPI into a business that was not worth having. And Federal Mogul knew that they needed to be a bit cautious with this strategy. They did not want to be so successful that it would put JPI out of business. So Federal Mogul very carefully chose what customers it wanted and that they would be price competitive on, and which customers were not worth the effort. The latter group of customers received a bid from Federal Mogul that Federal Mogul knew that they would lose, and that the business would go to JPI. Clever and conniving, I would say. So, ironically, and this is crazy, this is a crazy twist in the story. Ironically, when the Federal Mogul president who led this effort was later forced out and replaced, the company decided to buy the parent company of JPI. In part because Federal Mogul did not do enough due diligence in making this purchase, Federal Mogul, ended up with serious financial liabilities that resulted in Federal Mogul seeking bankruptcy protection, which they later came out of. So, they did a number of things before they took this action, okay? First, they locked down high volume accounts, even if they were low margin, because high volume is very, very valuable business. And on low volume customers who buy at high prices and margins, they decided they were going to retain them unless the competitor enters at a lower price and lower margin. Okay, so just some kind of checklist of things to keep track of. Here are some conditions that the authors noted for this kind of action to succeed. First, competitors have complex manufacturing and supply chain systems, which makes it very difficult for them to accurately estimate and allocate costs. Second condition, significant volume differences between various products that they sell, making it difficult to accurately allocate indirect costs. By the way, this can be tough even with great accounting systems. So this is a fairly common challenge with companies being more or less successful in meeting that challenge. Third conditions, competitors have significant indirect costs like selling and administrative costs, plus factory overhead and customer service. The authors state, when indirect costs exceed 50% of the value added cost, the possibility of misallocation is very high. And that's a number that you would know being in the business, okay? Fourth condition, in an industry where competition is primarily based on price, remember they put bids into customers, there may be an opportunity to take advantage of your competitors' weak accounting systems, okay? So kind of like a checklist to see if this is something that could help you in the business you're in. So, here are some of my thoughts on this innovation approach. Of all the hardball cases we've talked about so far, this probably has the least broad application, but an interesting one in certain situations that I just went through. The necessary conditions are not everyday conditions, so be aware of that. But what it does do, and I really like about this, is that it underscores the importance and value of deeply knowing your competition. Okay? This is not surface stuff. And gaining this kind of deeper competitive knowledge requires both unique circumstances and company capabilities. So interesting, but not necessarily for everybody. But the depending on the business you're in, you may want to consider it because it could be a very sneaky and successful way to go. Okay, the key lesson, as always, know your competition. If you don't know your competition, you do so at your own peril and risk. Okay. The next episode is going to be another fun one. Carrie McNamara returns to share a very sweet case study with lessons that every listener can use to help their innovation programs. Carrie has been on previous podcasts where we've done some really fun interviews, and this is going to be another one, I guarantee you. This was about a candy case study that we actually did on the eve of Halloween. Now, that was recorded some time ago, so it doesn't apply when you're listening to this, but we kind of got a chuckle out of that you'll want to listen to in the episode. Carrie, as I've told you, is one of the most experienced and successful innovators in America today, and a great person. So this is make sure you listen to this case study, because there's going to be more after it with Carrie. Okay. If you want to learn more, here's how you can do it. If you need more help, at the i2ge.com website, on the navigation menu, you'll find something that says DIY, Do-It-Yourself Innovation Training. Go check it out. There's a lot of things that we can do there, and if what you need isn't there, just email me. This is where I provide very focused training programs so that you can become self-sufficient in your innovation program. I also have a book, one of my 6 books that I published, called Proven Practical Innovation That Delivers Results. It's priced at below break-even as both a paperback and a Kindle book, and it's available only on Amazon. And, as I shared a bit earlier, I love hearing suggestions, comments, requests, whatever's on your mind. Just email me directly at richard@i2ge.com. I look forward to hearing from you. And as always, I want to thank you very, very much for your time, and I look forward to reconnecting with you in the next episode.